Imagine this, you're 200,000 miles from Earth. Everything is going fine. Then boom, your spacecraft explodes. You have limited power, barely any oxygen, and your ride home is falling apart, literally. This isn't a movie script. This actually happened. Welcome to the real-life space horror story of Apollo 13, a mission that went from "we're going to the moon" to "we might die in space." And today, I'm going to tell you how NASA pulled off the most insane rescue mission in human history. Strap in. This is going to get wild. The dream, Apollo 13 lifts off. It was April 11, 1970. Apollo 13 launched from Kennedy Space Center. The crew? Jim Lovell, the mission commander, a seasoned space veteran. Fred Haise, the lunar module pilot. Jack Swigert, who replaced the original command module pilot just days before launch. Now picture this, they're headed to the moon. Everything is smooth. Spirits are high. Fred Haise even jokes on the live broadcast, "We're going to make a good TV show out of this one." Oh Fred, if only you knew.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
Houston, we've had a problem. 2 days into the mission, they stir the oxygen tanks. It's a routine procedure, nothing special. But then, bang, an explosion rocks the spacecraft. Lights flicker, alarms scream, the oxygen levels start dropping. The crew looks at each other like, did we just die? Jim Lovell grabs the comms and says the now immortal words. "Houston, we've had a problem." Everyone on Earth freezes. Cut to NASA's mission control, panic. Now imagine you're in mission control. Everything is going fine, then suddenly your screen shows a massive systems failure. Oxygen tank 2, gone. Tank 1, leaking fast. The lunar landing is officially cancelled. Now, it's not about getting to the moon. It's about getting these men home alive. Gene Kranz, NASA's flight director, slams his fist and says, "Failure is not an option." Boom. Instant goosebumps. The spacecraft turns into a freezer. The command module is dying. No power, no oxygen, no heat. So the crew hunkers down in the lunar module, the part that was never meant to support 3 people for long. The temperature drops to near freezing. The air filling with carbon dioxide. The crew hungry, cold, exhausted. A race against time and physics. As the world watched anxiously, NASA's brightest minds began tackling the next life-or-death problem, how to get the crew back to Earth safely. The spacecraft could not turn around. The only option was a slingshot trajectory around the moon, a delicate maneuver requiring absolute precision. One wrong calculation, and the astronauts could veer off into space forever. With minimal power, the crew had to perform manual course corrections using the sun as a reference point and fire the lunar module's engines in short bursts. Imagine trying to steer a car with the headlights off, the windows fogged, and only moonlight to guide you. That's what the Apollo 13 crew faced. We had to get it just right. A little too much, and we'd skip off the atmosphere. Too little, and we'd burn up. It was like threading a needle from thousands of miles away. Back on Earth, a planet holding its breath. As Apollo 13 arced back toward Earth, the world waited. In an era before social media or 24-hour news, people gathered around televisions and radios, hearts pounding. It was no longer just an American mission, it had become a global story of hope and unity. Prayers were said in churches, temples, and mosques. School children wrote letters. Families stayed up all night. And then, on April 17, 1970, nearly 88 hours after the explosion, the command module Odyssey re-entered Earth's atmosphere. The communications blackout began. It felt like an eternity. Then, a crackling voice broke through. "Odyssey, this is Houston. Do you read me?" They had made it. Parachutes bloomed in the sky, and the capsule splashed down safely in the South Pacific Ocean. The world erupted in relief and celebration. The legacy of Apollo 13. Apollo 13 never made it to the moon, but in many ways, it was NASA's finest hour. The mission showcased the indomitable human spirit, how courage, collaboration, and creativity can triumph even in the most impossible circumstances. Jim Lovell, reflecting years later, said, "We just calmly worked the problem. We never gave up. That's the lesson, don't panic. Just think it through." The lessons of Apollo 13 continue to resonate across industries, classrooms, and crisis situations. It has become a blueprint for handling disaster, a living testament to what humans can accomplish when they are united by purpose and unshakable resolve. A human story in the stars. Apollo 13 isn't just a story about technology or science, it's a deeply human tale. Of 3 men trapped in a crippled spacecraft, talking to a small group of engineers on Earth, fighting to stay alive against impossible odds. It's about what happens when everything goes wrong, and people still refuse to give up. In the words of Gene Kranz, this was our finest hour, not because of what went right, but because of how we responded when everything went wrong.
Thanks for watching, and subscribe for the more video.